In this video, we're going to look at dealing with adding imagery into your Bootstrap websites. So to get started on this, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to navigate back to my code, and I'm going to just create a new container for my images to live in. So I'm going to create a new div, give it a class of container. Comment it for myself so I remember what it is, and image container. And now within this container, I'm going to go ahead and link in an image. So it's standard image source. I'm just going to navigate to one that's on my desktop because that is where I've saved my file here, but you'll want to make sure before you ever start linking images that you have them properly saved in a proper root folder convention. So they should be saved within your images folder. And I will point out too that had I moved this to an online server, that I would have issues with this image because you can see these parentheses here mean that, percent signs mean that there are spaces in this file name, so this would not be able to move online. But for demonstration purposes and working locally on my machine, this image will show. So I'm going to go ahead and save that. And there is my image. So that's just a basic placement of that image in here. So there's a couple things that I can start doing with my image now that I have it in here. So I can add some shapes to it. I can make it have rounded corners. I can make it an oval or a circle, and I can make it a thumbnail as well. So I'm going to navigate back to my image tag here. I'm going to give it a class of rounded. Save that. And you can see that that gave it a slight rounding of the corners here. There's just a little bit of rounding there. If I want to make it circular, it would be rounded circle. And that's going to make this an oval. If you want your image to be a perfect circle, it needs to start out as a square, because that's how you'll make the perfect circle, is that it starts as a square. If you have more of a rectangular image, it's going to turn into an oval. So I can also make this a thumbnail, which is that kind of gives a little white border around the image. And so that class is going to be img thumbnail. And then you can see that this is given that little white border and little stroke right around there for a thumbnail image. To make an image centered within its container, you can simply give it the class of mxauto, which stands for margin right and left. So MR, margin right, ML, margin left, MX is margin right and left. MX auto, so margin auto, right and left. And then giving it, putting it in a block. There we go. Fix that MX auto and D block, and that will center your image. So it has a block display and margin right and left is centered. So you'll notice with this image that it is not responsive. So once I start moving down into these smaller sizes, it's now cutting off that image. It's fairly simple to make an image responsive, and you should do this for pretty much all of the images that you put into your code. So to make it responsive, I'm actually going to uncenter it really quick just to simplify my code. I'm going to give it the class of img fluid, so image fluid. And I need to set the max width to 100%. And then the height to auto. So The maximum width that this will ever go is 100% of the screen, and the height is automatically going to adjust. So now if I save that, you will see that as I hit smaller breakpoints, that image is also responding to the breakpoints. So that is how you make an image responsive within Bootstrap.